Imagine a farm where the chickens work tireless, laying eggs day after day. There's no sunshine, no happiness, just the dull clatter of feed and the looming fences that keep them trapped inside. Life is grim on Tweety's farm, and no one knows this better than Ginger, a clever and determined hen who refuses to give up hope. While the other chickens have accepted their fate, Ginger is different. She wants out. She spent months trying to escape, digging tunnels, disguising herself, anything to get away. But every single time she gets caught and dragged back to the coop by Mr. Tweety, the bumbling husband of their cruel, sharp-eyed owner, Mrs. Tweety. Mrs. Tweety doesn't just run the farm, she rules it. Cold, calculating, and hungry for profit, she's always scheming to squeeze more out of her chickens. But things are about to get even worse when she decides eggs aren't enough anymore. She's got her eyes set on a new idea: chicken pies. Meanwhile, Ginger knows the clock is ticking. Escape isn't just a dream, it's survival. But just as her latest plan fails again, something unbelievable happens. A rooster comes soaring, yes, soaring, through the air and crashes straight into the farm. His name? Rocky, the lone free ranger, a flashy, confident American who's as charming as he is mysterious. To Ginger and the flock, Rocky is nothing short of a miracle. After all, he can fly. Seeing an opportunity, Ginger begs Rocky to teach the chickens how to fly so they can escape the farm once and for all. Rocky hesitates, but eventually agrees, and the training begins. What follows is absolute chaos. Wings flap, chickens tumble over each other, and there's not even the slightest sign of flight. But Ginger keeps pushing, holding on to hope. Rocky, ever the showman, keeps their spirits up. He's got jokes, charm, and just enough confidence to make the chickens believe they can do this. Slowly but surely, they start to improve, or at least they think they do. But while all this is going on, Mrs. Tweety has put her plan in motion. The monstrous chicken pie machine arrives, a terrifying contraption of gears, conveyor belts, and boiling gravy. This isn't just a threat anymore, it's a countdown. One day, Mrs. Tweety decides to test the machine. Poor Ginger is the first target. In a heart-pounding sequence, she's pulled through the twisting gears of the factory. Steam hisses, blades spin, and pie crusts are ready to seal her fate. But at the last second, Rocky swoops in and saves her. The two barely make it out alive, but they know one thing for sure: time is running out. The flock rallies together. They build a flying machine of their own, a homemade contraption made of scraps, planks, and sheer determination. Ginger leads the charge, showing the others what teamwork really means. Through sweat, frustration, and some truly hilarious accidents, they build their escape plan piece by piece. But then the truth comes out. Rocky can't fly. He's not the hero they thought he was. He didn't soar into the farm. He was shot out of a cannon at a circus. When the chickens find out, they're heartbroken. Ginger feels betrayed, the flock feels lost, and Rocky, he runs. He leaves the farm, too ashamed to face them. For a moment, all hope seems lost, but Ginger refuses to give up. If Rocky won't help them, they'll do it on their own. With grit and determination, the chickens finish building the flying machine, determined to escape before Mrs. Tweety turns them all into pies. As the machine nears completion, Mrs. Tweety gets suspicious. When she finds out what the chickens are up to, all hell breaks loose. She storms into the yard with her axe, determined to crush their hopes once and for all. Mr. Tweety tries to warn her that the chickens are organizing, but she brushes him off until it's too late. The chickens scramble to launch the flying machine. It's a chaotic, high-stakes battle as Mrs. Tweety chases them, axes swinging and shouting threats. At the very last moment, Rocky returns, his guilt overridden by the need to help his friends. Together, he and Ginger rally the flock, fire up the flying machine, and take off. Just as Mrs. Tweety makes one last desperate grab, she clings to the machine, trying to drag it back down, but Ginger faces her head on. In an epic final move, Ginger sends Mrs. Tweety crashing straight into her own pie machine, destroying it completely. The chickens soar away, leaving the farm and Mrs. Tweety's reign of terror behind. For the first time ever, the chickens taste freedom. They find a new home, a beautiful open field where they can live happily, far away from fences, pie machines, and Mrs. Tweety's wrath. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to follow for more thrilling movie summaries.